Yes.
The substitute motions on the plate. Any comments or discussions on the substitute motion, not on the regular?
I'm revoking your substitute motion, that's what I said. I'm revoking your substitute motion, okay?
Do you want to make a motion?
I want to make a motion that we leave that Mr. Roy back here, we have no light over it. Okay? Let's go with that, okay? I need to come back to
Is
this.
there a second?
Give us that.
That's the original motion, which has been trumped by the substitute motion.
Well, I can go over
What's going to be thrown
The fact that he votes for it.
Let you kill it with murder.
That's- Chairman,
Yes, sir.
the original motion, I just stated that we have a substitute.
Right.
We recommend, I don't know if you got a second on the substitute motion.
First statement.
Yeah, so then you handle that. I'm not trying to tell you how to do this, I'm
Please.
but you ask for comments and questions, and then you open it to public comments. And you further double this, vote on the substitute motion, and then you can go back to the original motion, and that's it, and that's it.
Yes, ma'am.
I second that motion because we agreed as a board not to borrow that money and to have it for any extra things that might come up. But I'm also, seeing where we, was given a sheet where there is extra money left over in the different, projects in Peabody Peterson. And we are not saying that we're not supporting, building that, field house. It's just that we should not be getting it right now out of the premium. Because we need money to fall back on, okay? But we also, owe it to Peabody, it's not their fault to support this particular, project, but do it in a different, way. You don't need to take that money right now. It could be that we will be able to take some of that money out and, help with the field house. But right now, we can't until all the projects are done. So I totally agree, with supporting, the field house, but not out of the premium.
Point of order, buddy.
Yes.
Ms. Burgess says she has some document which I'm not privy to.
We,
It wasn't given to us.
you got the copy of the right there?
Everybody can come.
I didn't have that.
Okay, that's the spreadsheet that's attached to the motion from District 62 Committee. And it was passed out at District 62 Committee last, in March. It just shows the status of each project, and any of them that's got us up round 2 of renovation, those numbers are not taken into consideration. We're trying to go back with those projects that stand
Johnson.
We know the need is there. Is there a possibility that we could not rebuild on the site that's been, damaged? And we think, is there another room for another field house on the other side of the field?
Point of order.
And use $1.2 million?
That's not Jeremy.
You said it's not the land.
This is pretty, these things take time.
I mean, we're talking about substitute.
Oh, okay.
So, President, can you reread what the substitute motion is, so it's clear to.
To continue with the adoption made by the board to keep the bond premium in reserve. Dr. Kaplan.
That's on first item, you have to, it's the first item you have to confirm. Yes, ma'am.
Mr. President. I want to speak to that bond reserve. I mean, because of that money that's been identified as in premium, we do have projects that are still haven't really been even started yet, so we don't want to expend that early. And not only that, we do have some projects that are already overrun. And I'm just talking about the premium bonds, so we're gonna need those premium bonds, and we don't know, we have two schools that have not had any work, no shovel has been turned, one graded grants in relation to the District 62 bond projects. So we don't know. We have some information on one project, but we're still waiting on another, so it's to be prudent, to do good diligence rather. What Ms. Burton said is pretty much what we've been saying all along. It's not that we say we stop. We're not talking about that. We're talking about the premium fund. So I think we should be cautious how we spend that.
Thanks again.
I got one question. What you gonna put in that this year when you can't go back to that? That's all I can. Where you gonna put them? Ain't nowhere to put them, okay? We sit here all night long. There's nowhere to put those kids. You sit here talking about saving some money. If you look at this report, only school that ain't turned the shovel is going to deal with everything in junior high school. And they got $16 million to get that school fund. And I'm talking about we got deficit, we ain't got no deficit, no way on this sheet of paper. If you read like I read, you find there's no deficit, but I don't want to hear that crap. Well, you was part of it.
You did too.
Okay.
Just to follow.
Excuse me.
Mr. Rachel, isn't there a possibility of more interest coming later? I couldn't hear you, sir.
That's a misnomer question.
There is interest, however, the interest rates are declining. There is also arbitrage expense that's gonna have to be posted against that interest that's earned.
So, maybe,
There will be some, but we don't have a number to identify or to pinpoint or allocate.
so we're talking about problems like over at John Strait, excuse me, Rpsb, where the pipes got hit, where we have reduced some pipe work that weren't on the original plans.
There are multiple schools that have issues that we're
Right.
dealing with at this point. And Cherokee has not, that bid has not been opened.
No.
And, I'm not sure that we've done any work at Green on that one as far as getting out of the ground.
So we want to do what we ask these people to do. We pass this tax, this District 62 bond issue, those board and so on, the things that we promised them, we need to do that to make sure we're covered. They extended the vote for it, and they voted for it, but if we wait, we have a better chance against that as well as the need for a baseball locker room at that, maybe, huh? Speechless.
Everybody's speaking.
It's to be determined.
To be determined.
Okay, do we have any other comments, questions? We have any comments?
I apologize. I'm just saying, if it's 6 months from now, that's the timeframe that we can look at, because we have, when we get those bids in, we'll know if we have more solid numbers. And I'm not saying we wait 5 years, no, I'm saying we need 6 months to review this, and, or even less, it all depends.
Any other questions from the board? Any comments from the audience? Okay, this is good. Yes, sir.
I'm just on the substitute motion of reserving the money as was originally requested. I would love to know if it's possible to, as part of that reserving the money, to get a rough cost estimate, because I don't think a field house would be $1.4 million for the field house. So if we got a rough cost estimate, then like Ms. Franklin was mentioning, having more information to work on, because the new field house may not be that much. So we may not be talking about a huge number, maybe talking about a smaller number. Maybe not be talking about taking that much from the bond. We don't have as much information. And so as part of the substitute motion, if it could be included that, to do a cost estimate on the new field house at Peabody, because that shows the board understands that putting the kids in the swamp is a problem, that would not be terrible.
The motion has been read in the record. I don't think they're challenging.
It can be amended.
Has any intention to change his motion.
Okay.
And Mr. Barry, if we could just make sure that everybody, if you're gonna speak publicly, you need to come to the microphone
Oh,
for the sake of our.
It used to be after the members have asked the questions and talked.
Take that.
Okay. Mr. Davis,
Okay.
I asked for Don, so I got it. Yes, on the substitute motion, is everybody clear on the substitute motion? Mr. Fall?
Repeat the completion.
Please,
To continue with adoption made by the board to keep the bond premium and interest in reserve. Dr. Chapman.
Thank you.
well,
All right, Mr. Johnson?
Yeah.
Ms. Franklin?
Yes.
Mr. Barrios?
No.
Dr. Chapman?
Yes.
Mr. Dryden?
Yes.
Mr. McCall?
No.
Ms. Burgess?
Yes.
Mr. Fall?
Yeah.
Mr. Berry?
yes. Okay, substitute motion passes.
I'd like to read one.
It's over.
Okay.
It's over.
Oh, it's over?
Yeah,
It's over.
what about the window?
The original motion.
You can also like the other specific.
Substitute. Okay. That brings us down to 10, which is a, India motion to.
No move.
Second. Motion to authorize the secretary of administrative staff to engage Pan American Engineer for professional services to design, engineer, project manage, develop, and provide the plans and specifications at the state fee curve schedule. Less 2%, authorize staff to advertise and bid for phase 2, single cell conservation pond closure of Buckeye High School. Bid number 20-51A, work order ID 232284, and bring a recommendation of award to the board and authorize the board president to sign any documentation in connection therewith posted on the agenda by Mr. Roy Rochelle. This is dollar amount $440,000, and that's a school next Mr.
Yeah, this was projected. We finally got the sewer treatment plant completed, and this is phase 2. Under regulatory, you have to close out the oxidation pond and do what you gotta do to make it right under DEP regs.
Any comments, questions from the audience? Maybe a yes, sir.
What was this oxidation pond used for?
It's all part of the sewer treatment plant system for Buckeye. We're back in with the new sewer treatment plant, removing the old one, bringing it up to capacity. It was under capacity, and the oxidation pond is no longer needed, so now you have to close it out.
Sir.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Is this gonna be in relation to the future construction side?
It should not be part of the future construction.
Okay, thank you.
Is there any questions before the any comments? Any comments from the audience? Please call the roll, Ms. Lee.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Ms. Franklin?
Yes.
Mr. Barrios?
Yes.
Dr. Chapman?
Yes.
Mr. Dryden?
Yes.
Mr. McCall? Ms. Burgess?
Yes.
Mr. Fall?
Aye.
Mr. Berry?
Yes. Is item number 11, which is a motion to authorize the secretary of administrative staff to engage ADG Engineering for professional services to design, engineer, project manage, develop and provide plans and specifications to state fee curve schedule, list 2%, and authorize staff to advertise and bid the turnkey installation of a new boiler HVAC system equipment at Double Red Line Elementary School, bid number 62-25-6, work order ID number 232283, for your recommendation of award to the board and authorize the board president to sign any documentation in connection with posted on the water shell, following by spending of $25,000. That's the sources. Distributions. Phase 2. The motion to discuss.
Second.
Second. Discussion.
This is basically, phase one has been completed, the interior renovations. This is phase two, money that's left over from the bond. We did an assessment with the design team and the engineers, and, this equipment was not impacted or touched, in the ESSER funds or in phase one of District 62. And this is some old equipment that needs to be replaced.
Any questions from the board members? Any comments from the audience? Ms. Lucas, call the roll.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Ms. Franklin? Mr. Berrios?
Yes.
Dr. Captain?
Yes.
Mr. Dryden?
Yes.
Mr. McCall?
Yep.
Ms. Burgess?
Yes.
Mr. Paul?
Aye.
Mr. Berry?
Yes. Item number 12, is there a motion to discuss and approve a two-year contract with T-Mobile and Geotab for the purpose of updating and implementing new GPS services for the bus fleet at a yearly cost of $77,736, and have the board president sign any documentation in connection therewith. Posted on Mr. Alan Faulkner, the amount against $77,736. The budget source is the general fund. Motion discussed.
Second.
Motion second discussed. Mr. Faulkner.
Good evening, board members. I appreciate y'all listening to our recommendation here. Currently, we have GPS services on our bus fleet through Spirion with partnership with T-Mobile. We've run into some problems with our current GPS provider, and so we're asking to update and lay the foundation for a better service for Rpsb Parish and also for our families and students. In the information we've been given, I'm not going to read through everything. Two big problems that we have with our current provider are, number one, our current routing software offers a parent app where parents can track basically their student's bus and see where it is when it's arriving at their home, where their student is on the route. We currently cannot access that app through our current GPS provider because the routing software and the GPS provider do not share the technology to integrate. I've tried to get the two to work together. They don't want to work together. So we're stuck with that not being viable. And we'd like to make that viable for our parents and our community. The other big problem that we have with our current GPS provider is that we are about to have to start operating on two separate platforms due to the hardware that they're utilizing. And that's going to make it difficult for us to track all of our bus fleets because we're going to have two separate platforms to do that. And with the GPS data currently not integrated into our current routing software, we're not able to use that software as efficiently as possible. Through this new partnership with Geotab, which is the worldwide leader in GPS services, we're going to be able to offer that parent app to our community, be able to integrate GPS services into our routing software, which will help us build better and more efficient routes. Also, like I said, it's going to lay the foundation for some things that we'd like to do in the future. For example, somewhere down the road, we'd like to look at the potential for bringing software and technology into our buses where we can actually track student attendance on our buses. So we'll know when a student gets on the bus, we'll know when a student gets off the bus, which helps with safety, which helps with knowing where our students are at all times. Also, it helps with providing routing services on the bus. Right now, currently, if a substitute driver gets on the bus, they basically have to use a paper document to know the route. This is going to put GPS services on our bus potentially like we have in our cars today, where now they're going to have voice activated map software telling them where to turn, where to stop for every student on that route. So we're just looking at laying the foundation to make transportation services for our community better. With this, we've been able to negotiate with T-Mobile that we can make this switch at zero cost to the board. That's roughly a $36,700 value, where Geotab and T-Mobile will cover 100% of the cost to remove and install the new GPS hardware and provide software for us at zero cost. We're also able to negotiate that any new hardware or software that we may need will come at zero cost now or in the future. So for example, if we were to buy 5 new buses 2 years from now, the GPS hardware for those 5 buses will be at zero cost to Rpsb.
Any questions from board members? Yes, sir.
Thank you for all you're doing, Mr. Fontenot, and, the ministry out there in transportation. Are we having a contract with Spirit?
We are through the remainder of this school year.
Thank
Yes, sir.
I just like to add to what Mr. Faulkner said. I spent some time with him and discussed this GPS system and some of the, possible, changes that we can do, and I was very impressed with it. I just gotta speak out and say, we do a lot of that in our business, and, well, Mr. Faulkner and I got to spend some time to go over. I know we've tried some in the past, some GPS, different, software that just did not marry ours, and this seems like a really good thing for us. And you can grow off of it too. I mean, this thing's pretty smart here. So, thank you, sir.
Any other questions from board members? Any comments from members of the audience? Ms. Lucas, please call the roll.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Ms. Franklin?
Yes.
Mr. Marriott?
Yes.
Dr. Chapman?
Yes.
Mr. Dryden?
Yeah.
Mr. McCall?
Yes.
Ms. Burgess?
Yes.
Mr. Paul?
Aye.
Mr. Berry?
Yes. Brings us down to number 13, which is a motion to discuss with then possible action to approve school staffing recommendations for the 2025, 2026 school year, consuming the agenda by Mr. Jeff Powell. Motion to discuss.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Board members, I passed out the full packet that included the backup that was on the agenda already, and the one pager that's similar to what you're used to getting over the last couple of years that shows what we requested last year versus what we're requesting this year in terms of allotment of teachers. I did change one thing in that we actually included total enrollment, not just MFP enrollment. One of the things as Ms. Belvin and the team that's offered and everybody that's been going through the staffing process realizes that the MFP does not include pre-K numbers, yet we still staff for pre-K. So we switched to including the total enrollment numbers on there for you, not just the MFP numbers. You see that we're actually requesting a fewer number of teachers, about 6 fewer this year over last year. We were addressing some overall decrease in enrollment, but also we had to add some teaching slots because of additional special education teachers due to increased smaller specialized classroom for our high-need special education students. We do have up to 8 positions that we should be able to transition into IDA 10-month IEP facilitators to help with writing of IEPs. And this number includes Common Connect Academy staff, as if you do, in case you do approve it going into the next year after we do the pilot this spring. And it includes additional staff for an elementary expulsion classroom as well. That's been a topic for the last couple of months. After sitting down with Ms. Delmite, this requested allotment would have no negative impact on the general fund budget for the upcoming school year. That's for teaching positions. And then you see the increase in number of allotted positions for paraprofessionals. And there is an increase there, again, due to the specialized classrooms for special education. However, like last year, up to 15 of those IDA, of those para positions can be paid for with IDA funding. This also includes the additional allocation Ms. Dr. Weiss came and presented to you a little bit earlier in this year. We did include the Head Start numbers, even though that's paid directly out of the Head Start grant. And so the rest of your backup, you see the student-teacher ratios for our regular classrooms that show no significant change from one year to the next, just kind of right-sizing on the staffing allocation. I do want to, as I've kind of try to keep you abreast of the staffing situation over the last few weeks via email as we met with all of our schools. It is important. We do typically run this through committee, so reasonably depending on the timing with the way February rolled, school choice and open enrollment. We had to meet with our schools compared to today. We didn't have time to run it through the March committees. I do want to know that because we're uploading all of our information into a new student information system, it is important for our schools to be able to build their master schedules, and they can't do that until we verify the number of teachers that they have. So I am requesting that you approve this tonight for our schools so that we can go ahead and move forward with setting we have a job fair date set for May 3rd, but we can open up the transfer window for our employees and then be ready to hire new employees for the upcoming school year.
Any questions for the board? Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I see here, you said include staff and elementary expulsion. I remember you said that we were supposed to have, an elementary expulsion. It was housed at Pongo Elementary. We don't know why it's no longer there. But you said that you would find somewhere for it to go. I'm hoping and praying it will not be at Raps. Thank you.
Thank you for that feedback.
Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Explain with his options and give it to coach.
So in your backup, there's some additional information for us to consider maybe in the future. There's been a lot of conversations the last year, or maybe a couple of years related to our gifted programming and our high need special ed programs. Right now, we do our best to service students in either their home zone school in both of those categories, or at least within their feeder system. But because of the number of students and the number of teachers that we're having to employ, we are spreading ourselves very, very thin. So for conversation topics in the future, if you approve the numbers we're requesting tonight, it's to keep everything the way it is, the way we've been doing it to the best of our ability, serving students in their school, in their home school, or at least within their feeder system. Some options for us to consider maybe in the future, in the upcoming months, Mr. Berrios, is moving to a gifted program site where maybe students come one day a week to a program, but spend 4 days a week at their home zone school, but just come to a single site location for gifted programming. And a similar option has been presented to do the same thing with high need special education students. These are students that are scheduled to take the alternative assessment site, the alternative assessment, and not the LEAP 2025. We have a number of those students on the east side of the river, just like we have a number of gifted students on the east side of the river. So there is, we asked Dr. DeWeese to kind of present some options for providing better services to those students and meeting their needs in a much more efficient and effective manner. I'm not proposing any changes tonight with the numbers, but just something in the backup for you guys to maybe think about in the future as we move forward.
If the teachers stay in place, it's moving where they are.
We're in the numbers, if you approve this number here, there's no major changes to those.
In the future, we're going to consider, we're always making provisions for increasing the number of special education teachers that we need, areas for special education. I don't see too much talk about increasing the spending for gifted and comparison to gifted and so forth. I think somewhere along the line, somebody needs to start thinking about those students because they're in part of it. That's what I'm wanting. That's what you're doing. That's just what I'm wanting. At least I know them. Well, and also, let's say time side, lands on the side. Would that be one site or schools on those sides of the river have their own particular special? I'm not sure.
In that particular option, it would be having one site on each side of the river. But again, that's just something in there for consideration later. To your point, Mr. Berrios, about the number of gifted students and what we're doing to try to service them. I think I shared with y'all via email last week when I was down in Baton Rouge at the Superintendent Advisory Council meeting that I had an opportunity to speak with some of the state leaders of the Special Education Department on why so many parishes are having an issue with so few students qualifying for gifted today compared to what they were before. And they just made a bunch of proposed revisions to Bulletin 1508 on the special education side, and their next thing that they're going to tackle is specific to gifted services as well, to try to make sure that parishes have more specific guidance on opening that door so more students can qualify for gifted. So that's what's driving it, the number of students qualifying.
Your plan is you have not only, you don't have one site on each side of the river, that the schools have their own gifted teachers in place. Their schools run them going to one side on one side of the river, one side on the other side.
And to be clear, the number that we're offering right now is the way it has traditionally been done.
That's the way I want to continue that. That's my area. That's all I want to have in this area.
Yes, sir. Okay, so I'm looking at these numbers. as opposed to, and first of all, I wish we had got all this other information. It's my first time getting all this. But,
And there was two documents in your backup, Ms. Franklin.
well, no, I'm talking about this, about,
Oh, the extra options. Yeah.
all these options, wow, I mean.
Yes, sometimes I give you too much information.
No, I know you can't send it to me, because I'm always asking for more. No, the point I'm getting to ask, I'm looking at the numbers here, you actually decreased the requested alignment. And I'm trying to figure out, okay, I'm gonna say, you have to, I'm gonna use one school in particular, there were several schools that I talked to, they've lost some teachers. And what's the rationale for that? Is that because of the lower number and I don't know, I just want to know, what's the rationale for
Yeah,
that?
each school was looked at class by class based on the number of students that they have in each grade level. Ms. Frank, I'm happy to sit down with you and go through each school by school and show you the math behind each one of them. But that's why you have the overall synopsis on this page. It shows that the average class size for each school is still well beneath the state,
No, this is, I know you, I'm just saying, this was just bare bones information, but then when we get this is like a flesh to it. So it's warranting more questions, and I'm hesitant to approve this number because there may be some other things I probably weren't explored, and now there are questions that I do have. And what, did that take into consideration with the sped population at those schools? Because you said something about ED, what's that, ED, what's that? What y'all gonna do with this?
it is economically disadvantaged.
Right, so if you look at those numbers, that was the impact in determining,
Yes, ma'am.
because when we look at the schools that have high demand schools, and they're and overcoming those obstacles, for
Those schools, Ms. Franklin, if you study that list, has a lower student to teacher ratio. And this is, I mean, I just want to remind them that we go through this exact same process every year, and you get all the exact same information every year. And I'm happy to sit down with you and go through the entire, we have a spreadsheet for all 42 schools.
You do?
Yes, we do.
You know I will welcome that.
Yep, and we welcome you coming to sit.
But you know I'm concerned about, because I'm looking at the high needs students and the high demands of each part of my PD. What happens here, what about having some SEL specialists working with those students? Now, I know this is not part of the thing, but remember I asked about counselors?
Yeah, I believe that's gonna be on the
Right.
May committee, I think.
Right, the only reason why I'm asking and I'm trying to connect this right now because I know, didn't we, something was passed last year, let the teachers teach?
That is correct.
So that means they want to have the teachers to direct more times in making sure the children are being educated, right? When, I mean, I'm not talking about dealing with SEL, social emotional learning, having someone else to deal with that. That's just a question that I have. Was that a factor in considering staffing at those schools? Was that a consideration?
The factor of letting teachers teach, that's the entire
I know, I'm
thinking
talking about
behind
SEL specialists.
conversation, Ms. Franklin.
SEL specialists in addition, because that way they can do those things. So that's why I was asking about the counselors.
You're talking about SDL specialists in addition to the 15 behavior strategists that we have employed in the district, in addition to the 32 school-based health centers that we have in our schools.
Yes.
And in
yes,
addition
and
to the
yes,
assistant.
and yes, and yes.
But no, there was no additional consideration on top of those already there.
Now, let me,
Because that's right now, we don't have a funding source for it.
let me speak to that. Let me ask you. Because when we talk about the funding source, we're talking about IDEA and we're talking about the MFP, correct? What about the high definition?
I know student.
Yes, that is still gonna be allocated by the state as well?
So far, it is in the governor's budget for next year.
Well, that's subject to change it amongst numbers, but either way, my point being made is, I have more questions, and I don't wanna have this dialogue publicly, but I'm welcome to do so. But my concern is that the numbers that I hear, Mr. Chair, Mr. President, I'm just saying, because I know I'm surprised the time, but,
It didn't come through committee, so we didn't put it, no.
thank you for that consideration. I have more questions than answers.
Any other questions? Yes, please.
Okay, I gotta get to, I wanna understand this, okay? Let's go to the, sheet where it says, the school name, It is, ST ratio, student teacher ratio, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So let's say, Acadia, it has 18 there. That means they have 18, you gave them 18 teachers?
No, that means on average, if you go class by class, grade by grade, on average, there's one teacher for every 18 students, one regular ed teacher. That does not count special education teachers. That's just regular ed teachers.
Okay, so I just wanna make sure that Peabody got the influx of students, they got the amount of teachers they needed also this coming year.
If you'll compare Peabody Magnet High staffing on this sheet, you see them at the top, they're staffed at 18 students per one teacher. Ash is staffed at 23 students to one teacher. Pineville is staffed at 20 students per teacher. Tioga at 18 per teacher, and then Rapides at 15 per teacher. So, yes.
Okay, I didn't understand these figures. I thought you gave them 18
That's okay. It's the student to teacher ratio.
Okay. So
And again, that's just the regular. So on top of that, you still have special education teachers.
Okay.
So when you look at the numbers and you divide the total enrollment by the number of teachers we're requesting, you're at one adult for every 13 or so students on each campus.
Including the special needs.
Yes, ma'am.
One last question and I'm done. When we talk about the ratio, and you pointed out, that's an average. And when we look at the number of students, these are projected numbers. What happens when the school year starts and those numbers increase? This is my position, my experience.
So I'll go ahead and answer that question. That's why we always give you ask you for a cushion of 15. So that allows us the flexibility to add what we need to.
What I'm saying is, if a school is saying, we're gonna increase your number, wouldn't it be better to keep that teacher there who's acclimated to the school, who understands the relationship with the principal, and also the relationship with students in that school?
Yeah, but so I will tell you, Ms. Franklin, there were a handful of situations, Ms. Belvin, that where we could, when we're looking at the projections, we could see 2 or 3 years worth of data at one time. We're not just looking at snapshot data. So we can tell if maybe this year's class is gonna be really low, but next year's class is gonna be high again, we typically don't cut in that situation.
Okay, because this is what
Because we know that exact situation could happen.
and this is what the great philosopher said. Better to need it than have it, than to have it and not, and better to have the need it and to need it and not have it. You know who that great philosopher is? Was, for example, and that whole student, because you take a student, a
You
teacher.
said a few other things.
I know, but this is what I use my great philosophy. What I'm just saying is better to have that teacher there who's already been there, than to try to find a teacher when that number increases.
And Ms. Franklin, I know you said you didn't want to have this dialogue,
But I know,
but since we are, I'll also let you know that we had 11 positions, Ms. Belvin, that were never filled this year because we couldn't find anybody. And
exactly.
we had 25 positions for the last 2 years that were filled with long-term subs. So I think the movements that are being made to make sure that we have the right number of staff allocated for our schools is projected in this request.
Any other questions? Any comments? The audience? Yes, sir. And you have 3 minutes.
I was about to say, just wanted to, point out, I do appreciate how much the board last year, came out in support of the RTC, and it's not just at Knowlton, but at all the different schools. And I do also truly appreciate, because this has to do with staffing, so it is germane, but I do truly appreciate the fact that every board meeting starts with acknowledging the RTC units by having them present the colors, and that it starts with acknowledging the JAG program, because without those two, it would severely cripple a lot of efforts to help students in the parish. And I know I don't have the backup copy, but I do, just looking at the numbers, it doesn't mention JAG, it doesn't mention RTC. And I just wanted to put out there that I know Bolton's junior ROTC unit actually this year received their national ranking whenever they had their review, and it was the highest ranking that they have received since the inception of the program. The Inspector General that came through saw that. Also, even though Bolton's numbers are a little down from the previous year because of all the changes, the ROTC enrollment was actually the same. So as a percentage of the eligible students, the enrollment in junior ROTC at Bolton rose. And quite a few eighth graders got in the program and loved it as well. But I just want to make sure that our dedication to both the JAG program and the junior ROTC program that have subsidized budgets are as well loved as we have for the past several years, board members, with this new personnel allocation.
Thank you. Any other comments from the Did you have
A question.
this minute?
Since what he said, the comment he made, I have a question about it. Are the ROTC positions in here?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
CTE is not a part of this, is it?
Yes, they are.
Are they a part of it too? I do want to know. Okay.
Ms. Lewis?
Right. Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Ms. Franklin?
No,
Mr. Barrios?
Yes.
Dr. Chapman?
Yes.
Mr. Dryden?
yes.
Mr. McCall?
Yes.
Ms. Burgess?
Yes.
Mr. Paul? Mr. Barry?
Yes. Brings us to item number 14. What's it is a motion to approve change order number 4, lot debris renovations and code in high school. Reference Rpsb School Board bid number 11-24-09. Work order number 2280-41 and purchase order number 3400-4624. Contract between Rpsb School Board and Cedar Inc. No change to no change to the contract amount, an increase in the contract time at 30 days, therefore changing substantial deletion to the new date of April 7, 2025, to authorize the board president to send the transportation connection therefore. Posted on the agenda by Mr. Rochelle. Subject, Mr. Rochelle.
The board, this is basically housekeeping, once again, supply chain issues, we didn't get materials for the flooring, so delayed, the finishing work on the, locker room.
Comments from the audience?
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Ms. Franklin? Mr. Barrios?
Yes.
Dr. Chapman?
Yes.
Mr. Dryden?
Yes.
Mr. McCall? Ms. Burgess?
Yes.
Mr. Paul? Mr. Barry?
Yes. There's a staff number 15, which is a new subdivision to an interagency agreement with Reentry Solutions to provide leadership opportunities and other support services to students and their schools. To authorize the board president to sign any documentation connection issued by Mr. Washington. Which we discussed.
Yes, sir. With this, engaged agreement, we have to finish about 2 weeks. It's about 18. Okay. This engaged agreement will afford reentry solution opportunities to speak with students about OJT, apprenticeship, and other support services within the schools. If you look at the agreement, basically it provides, outlines other duties and obligations and responsibilities, which include providing integrity life skill orientation and marketing views to students, provide job readiness orientation, work with school system, place students in correct apprenticeship and internship, and as well as provide support and monitoring of students who have been placed in these opportunities. I've secured all the required documents, all the interagency agreements, including the insurance and everything, as well as background check.
Any questions from board members? Any comments from the audience? Ms. Lucas, please call the roll.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Ms. Franklin? Yes. Mr. Barrios? Dr. Chapman?
Yes.
Mr. Dragon?
Yes.
Mr. McCall?
Yes.
Ms. Burgess?
Yes,
Mr. Fall?
Aye.
Mr. Barry?
Yes. Brings us to item number 16, which is a motion to adopt a resolution directing the superintendent to obtain attorney general's opinion to pay salaried employees overtime compensation, plus funding to Ms. Burgess.
So moved.
Second.
I, agreed with this motion, so I was able to bring it back on. I feel that we should, I got a lot of calls. I feel that we should, find out what the attorney general, we need to know what the attorney general is saying about it. A lot of employees are asking, and we do need to know. So I would like for this board to vote to actually send it to the attorney general to get, I think. That's all I'm asking. And community staff connected.
May I ask for clarification, because I know when we brought this up before, I talked to someone in the Attorney General's office, and they had some specific questions. To what extent is this,
There was, some type of law passed,
there was,
and that's all. That's, they need to know, how does that affect who? The student employees.
I know for,
Well, because Ms. Burgess and I talked about this, I think part of where there's some confusion, Attorney Johnson, is that we are being allowed to pay teachers now
right,
the $35 an hour for work being performed outside of their duties.
right.
So why would we not consider doing that for other salaried employees as well?
The statute was specifically designed for teachers. Are you asking?
No, we need to know exactly what that law says and who does it affect. And you're saying that it just affects teachers.
Yeah, the law is very clear.
Yeah, I mean,
I mean, I guess my question to you is, am I asking, does this apply to non-teachers?
Yes,
right,
yes.
that's exactly right. So, was it also for non-teachers?
Okay.
That's all.
And all you're asking is, you're not asking for specific things, you're just saying, is there any way to interpret the law? Even though it doesn't say anything, but teachers is not responsible. Can it be expanded by the board to include non-teachers, even though the law doesn't say it?
No, I'm not saying that. I just want to know what the law says. That's what the people paying to be asking me
Yes, ma'am.
to stay, asking me about the law. You know,
Would you like to, for us to visit on the actual law? And if you still have questions, to request the Attorney General, or if you want to go ahead and go, if the board agrees to go ahead and request the Attorney General to take it. It'll take a little longer with the Attorney General.
well, yeah, we need to know because, people are asking questions.
Yes, ma'am. Just need clarification.
So, I'm just, one, that's what, my constituents have been asking me to do, and that's what I did.
Yes, ma'am.
Would you be amenable, just some conversation with
Should I be what?
Have a good time.
Would I have a meeting with you?
No,
They had to explain the law.
well, Act 311 specifically said teachers.
And
What we can ask, is there a way that it can be interpreted to mean all employees?
thank you, that's
I
all.
remember the debate on the floor of the House, I voted for the bill. I remember the debate was being included, but the Attorney General can take it that officially.
That's right. That's what we want.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. Okay, I just remember. I can still talk, I'm still.
Mr. Mayor, President.
Okay.
Simon.
Yes, sir, Dr. Chapman.
We gotta clarify what class of employees actually do their overtime now. Well, Act 311 was designed to protect an educator's time outside of the classroom. That was the state's purpose. But we have other employees that are currently being paid overtime.
So if every one of your job descriptions identifies an employee as either exempt or non-exempt, and for the federal hourly wage statutes, I'm looking at what it is, the non-exempt employees are eligible for overtime, which is most of our support workers, right, and our maintenance workers, and that those are non-exempt positions. The positions that are considered exempt are essentially all of your professional or certificated positions. The exception to the overtime law that was passed by our Louisiana legislature this year said that if a teacher is being asked to do something outside of his or her normal work hours and beyond the scope of their job description, then they are eligible to be paid $35. It's not a time and a half, it's a specific amount set forth by, well, actually it's $30 an hour, is what they have to net. And so that is the exception that the Louisiana legislature passed last year to the typical overtime rules.
Not non-teaching would be the third.
I guess the point that I hear Attorney Johnson say is the Attorney General is probably going to tell you everything else is still gauged by the federal.
Yeah, I think that's what you're saying. I make sure that we have, clear from the attorney. And to me, to make sure that everybody's comfortable with the answer. To me, we're leaving it up in the air. And people are very concerned about it, they're asking questions about it. We need to answer the question and be done with it.
I can only tell you from, it's kind of a weird dual role here, I can tell you that I was in those debates in committee and on the floor, and this very question was asked. And it was very much the intent of the author of the bill, the vote of the legislature. It was addressing just teachers because of the classroom duties, you know, football or whatever they were asked to do outside of their educational duties. And it was discussed about non-teachers, and it was very clear that at least the legislature, and I'm suspecting this is where the Attorney General would go back and look, was that they were governed by the Fair Labor Standards Act that dealt with overtime things like that. But we can do whatever, I'll do whatever you want, but for the purpose of just giving.
They're asking for the attorney general.
Yes, ma'am.
So, I believe you.
No, I'm just giving you that insight. I'll be happy to answer that.
Okay.
One of these days, maybe I'll be attorney general.
I appreciate the conversation we just had. It's just that, it just, I read it, and it comes from the attorney general's office, but that was something requested a while back. And in more definitive direction, because there are questions that are out there, and then as a board member, we need to direct them to our superintendent or to their respective supervisor. However, there may be some variances there, and maybe we get a clear response for that, give clarity to the discussion going forward. So I would recommend that, even if it takes longer, it's not like, I would rather it done. It's better to have it than need it, and to need it than not have it.
And the reason is it's back here is first thing for this day.
Yes, sir. Back to
We have to have a resolution.
okay, so we need to go back
That's
to
what,
resolution.
you want that, you have to have that.
Okay, well, let's, we need to make this.
Thank you.
So,
We need to make a motion that we have, the resolution of the Rpsb School Board to address the salary employees. We want an opinion from the Attorney General's office.
second.
This says that it asks what effect Act 311 has as it relates to non-teachers. Is that the resolution?
Yeah.
Clear resolution.
Put the resolution together, please, And get, oh, it was me, I'll be that, whether it was people, whether it was together, that's what we got you from.
But who has been directed from the board?
Well, that's.
Yeah, this one is gonna become that and vote.
And I said,
Let's make sure, what's the motion?
he's saying that.
What's the motion that we're gonna have? What is the motion?
Right.
That we.
Isn't that what you said? You second it? So why do you want to look at, so what motion do you need to go to? Okay.
All right.
Okay, question?
And that is, we can have a motion.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Ms. Franklin?
Yes.
Mr. Marriott?
No.
It said whole roll of motion.
Yes.
Okay, so Mr. Marriott? Okay, Dr. Chapman? Yes, sir. Okay, Mr. Donovan? Mr. McCall? Ms. Purdy?
Yes.
Mr. Paul?
Aye.
Mr. Reddick?
No,
So,
no, scary.
did that pass?
Must be a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor?